I have to get your reaction to the latest sell-off. Obviously, we're talking about what's happening in Snap at this very moment, but in big tech more broadly as well. What's your outlook on all of this, given that you've been in this industry for a couple of decades?
Well, Emily, first, it's great to be back on your show. As you said, it's been a couple of years. And big picture for us, certainly the move towards digital, it's no longer would be nice. It's an absolutely critical imperative. And so it's sort of a cliche, but the truth is that digital is changing everything from entertainment to work to play. And I think we're at the center of all those secular trends. So some of the companies reporting, I don't understand fully what their business cycles are, but from our perspective, we continue to innovate and our addressable market opportunity just continues to grow larger and larger.
Now, some folks are comparing what we're seeing right now to the dot-com bust, and I'd love to hear how you are trying to put this into context. What is your assessment of the macroeconomic environment and the circumstances that are beyond your control, whether it is inflation or rising rates or an ongoing war?
Well, a couple of thoughts come to mind, Emily. The first is that we have been through this incredible macroeconomic bull period for the last few years. And so to some degree, a business cycle is absolutely critical. And that's happening also as a result of the backdrop of what happened both with the pandemic and more recently with the war in Ukraine. Uh, I believe that what this will cause is a number of companies that are single product companies that may not have the depth and the breadth of the kinds of offerings that the larger tech companies like Adobe have. Will be shaken out. And so I think part of what you're seeing is a normal period where when you go through such a boom, everybody believes that it's because of them. And then you realize in a period like this, who are going to be the true secular winners? And I think Adobe is going to be part of it. So I think the way we think about an opportunity like this is first, are we continuing to innovate on behalf of our customers? Second, we have a tremendous balance sheet. We have tremendous opportunity. So don't do anything that is short-term focused and continue to focus on making sure that we drive the company long-term. But I think for the single product companies or the much smaller companies, it's going to be a trying period because whether it's the war in Ukraine or the potential dark clouds on the macroeconomic environment, a lot of those companies haven't learned how to deal with that.
Now, speaking of innovation at Adobe, you just launched Creative Cloud Express. Most folks know Adobe for its signature Photoshop product, which is facing some increasing competition from Canva, Lightricks. How do you plan to hold off some of that, potential market share gains to some of these competitors for this iconic product in your portfolio?
Emily, we created three categories. And when you create three large categories the way we did, whether it's creativity and our vision of enabling anybody who has a story to tell their story, at the other end of the spectrum, whether it's enabling every single business that's increasingly going to be digital to engage with their customers digitally, and in the middle, what we do with Document Cloud and automating document productivity. These are massive markets, and we're going to win because we created these markets. We have a vision for the market. But the reality is that when you create these addressable opportunities that are hundreds of billions of dollars, you're going to see other companies. So the way we focus on it, specifically on the creative side, we are the largest company in that space. We have an incredible portfolio, whether it's Creative Cloud, as you mentioned, and Photoshop, what we are doing to enable the emerging metaverse, what we are doing for people who are either communicators or consumers. So I think it's the breadth of our offerings and it's the depth of our technology and understanding of these trends that'll continue to make sure that Adobe is at the forefront of all of these massive opportunities.
You've got $5 billion in cash sitting on your balance sheet. Are you eyeing any acquisitions? We were just talking about a big potential deal between Broadcom and VMware.
Adobe always looks for really deep technology and great culture. I think to your point, what's happened in the market, there will be a number of companies. So, we're always judicious and we're always thoughtful in terms of the acquisitions that we made. We just made a couple of acquisitions that have actually turned out to be phenomenal. One in the collaboration space, Emily, where we bought this company called Frame.io, which enables anybody who's doing video collaboration to collaborate in a way. We've also bought a company called Workfront that allows anybody who's creating these marketing campaigns to be far more efficient. So we're always looking. We're very pleased with the portfolio of products that we have and the depth, but we will continue to take a look. And our criteria continues to be making sure that there's great technology, that there's a culture match, and financially it is a good deal for our shareholders.
Curious how bullish you are on the metaverse, how big a role you think it'll play in our future, and what Adobe's role potentially will be in it.
The way I like to describe the metaverse, Emily, is that increasingly, and this is certainly accelerated through the pandemic, things that people did in the physical world, increasingly they're going to do in the virtual world. And I think that trend just continues. And so our message to all of our customers are creating these metaverse experiences is significantly more difficult. And so, on the authoring side, we're working, whether it's with companies like Meta or Google or Apple or Microsoft, to really make sure that for all these new worlds, that we have the best creative tools in the world. For people who want to have their brand on these different environments, we're saying, it's time for you all to start the process of creating these 3D assets, creating interactions, creating interactivity in the metaverse. And then with a couple of the really leading edge companies, we're actually co-innovating with them to actually create a brand new service or a brand new offering in the metaverse. So I think depending on where you are in that journey and in which business you are, you have to start to take it more seriously. And again, as I said, it really is a reflection of everything that people are doing in a physical world, they're going to increasingly do in a virtual world. And gaming is probably the space where you've seen the most progress thus far.